Hello everyone. This is the 23rd part of the story, Marvel Unlimited Skills, I Can Download. Chapter 155, Fear. It was difficult for the ordinary people to control themselves after gaining strength. But there were some excellent people who could control themselves. And Dr. Strange also belonged to this kind of person. However, things changed quickly, and so it was very important to have people to restrain him. That was why the Ancient One did not stop Bruce's action. Originally, it should be done by her. Bruce was just putting this matter in advance. Ancient One could also foresee that even if the future Doctor Strange's power was very powerful, and he could even surpass her, he would still be afraid of a person. That was Bruce. Caecilius has taken the 2-page spell on Dormammu and he will summon Dormammu soon. At the moment, Bruce looked at the Ancient One and said, there was no need for him to hide this thing, because Ancient One knew everything. It was just that she did not want to stop it. Whether it was the future Doctor Strange or the future human, they would face the real world without Ancient One sooner or later. And what Bruce said was just a reminder to the Ancient One. When Caecilius accepted the power of Dormammu, his strength would be improved by multiples. And the previous power could not be compared with the present power at all. The power given by Dormammu was indeed terrifying. After all, it was the ruler of the dark dimension, and a truly terrible enemy. Even the powerful Ancient One could not completely eradicate him. How powerful he was! It's inevitable that this kind of thing will happen, but I believe you can handle it. At the moment, the Ancient One said again. She would not be involved in the next Dormammu's invasion, whether she was alive or not. She had seen what would happen in the future through the time gem. But the Ancient One was just a human. Although she had lived for a long time and had a strong ability, she was always a human. She was not a god in the world, nor did she predict what would happen in the future. It was especially difficult for her to spy on the future of an infinite gem. That was why Ancient One didn't know Thanos would appear in the future, because she was unable to explore it. After all, the future was always the most elusive. Stephen Vincent Strange has now opened the Magic World's gate. His growth may be very fast. At the moment, Bruce said, and Ancient One also agreed. Then the two continued to chat for a while. Ancient One left, and Bruce also returned to his own residence. However, he did not return directly to the room, but was in the place where Stephen Vincent Strange was located. With the help of Mordo, the influence of Stephen Vincent Strange's body which came from Mount Komolangma had almost been eliminated, and now he only needed to take a good rest. When Stephen Vincent Strange saw Bruce appearing in his room, he was slightly shocked. In his eyes, Bruce had no reason leaving him alone there, because Bruce was also just practicing magic. Why, are you afraid of me? The moment Bruce walked into the room, he sensed the fear of Doctor Strange in the first place. He smiled. He didn't expect that this person who was proud and would get super wisdom in the future, Doctor Strange, would be afraid of him. No, I just don't understand why you threw me in that place. Stephen Vincent Strange denied it on the spot, indicating that he was not afraid of Bruce. It was just that his expression had betrayed himself. But Bruce did not say anything about it. Then he walked to Stephen Vincent Strange's side and looked very serious. He looked at the man in front of him and said, I believe you understand that what I have done is to develop your potential. You're an excellent person, so you take more responsibilities in the future. Soon after, you're going to face a powerful enemy that you can't resist, and at that time, you have to have enough power. The present Bruce was already reminding Stephen Vincent Strange, he was like a real godfather, instructing Stephen Vincent Strange a lot. At this moment, Stephen Vincent Strange narrowed his eyes after hearing Bruce's words. He did not understand what Bruce meant, but he felt Bruce's words were very serious and was not joking with him. If we have a powerful enemy, you and Ancient One will naturally be able to resist it. I'm just a master who has just arrived. At the moment, Stephen Vincent Strange said this. He thought he did not have too powerful strength. More importantly, his original purpose was to cure his hands, not to fight. After all, he was just a doctor, not a soldier. I know what you're thinking, heal your hands, and then go back to the real world? Then Bruce looked at his eyes and said all the thoughts in his heart. Although he did not have the ability to spy on others' thinking, he was very clear about what Stephen Vincent Strange was thinking now. That's what I think. Isn't it right? At the moment, Stephen Vincent Strange said. After all, people were selfish. In his eyes, he just contacted the magic world accidentally. Therefore, if his hands were cured, he would not have to stay in the world. Yes, you have a good idea. Then Bruce said this directly, with a hint of approval on his face. In fact, he did not like forcing others to do anything. But he knew the inner heart of a man. For example, when you got power, or you have the way to get power, would you give up easily? No matter how noble he was, he would have desires. So I don't want to face a powerful enemy. I hope that Mr. Bruce can understand it. At the moment, Stephen Vincent Strange said. He thought he was a person with a strong mind. As long as it was his decision, he would do it anyway, and no one could change him. Therefore, when other people faced such a hardline person, what they could do was in the form of a mild insult or a snarky attitude. In the original plot, Stephen Vincent Strange did not want to bear the responsibility. If it was not because Ancient One's death touched him, he would not return to the magic world once he cured his hands, nor would he be able to become a sorcerer supreme so quickly. At the moment, Bruce looked at Stephen Vincent Strange's firm eyes, his mouth slightly tilted. I support your decision, no matter whether you want to take responsibility, it is your will. But I want to tell you that if you are ready to return to the real world one day, I will take back everything you have learned. Don't doubt that, I have this ability and no one can stop me, even Ancient One. Bruce threatened. At the moment, after hearing Bruce's words, Stephen Vincent Strange was shocked totally. Chapter 156, Powerful. I'll take all the things you've learned. This sentence completely shocked Strange. At the moment, he looked at Bruce's serious eyes and he was shocked. He understood that Bruce was not joking absolutely. It was true that all of his power would be brought back. Therefore, this made him more afraid of Bruce. Those were his hard work and he had an inexplicable attraction for it. More importantly, who did not want such powerful ability? But Bruce said now that he was going to take back this completely, which made him feel extremely terrible. Although he did not stay at Camartage for a long time, he had already known the identity of Bruce in Camartage. Bruce was not an Ancient One's disciple, but he had a very amazing magic knowledge. And even Mordo said that Bruce was a mysterious and powerful figure. Especially, he knew that Bruce's greatest power was not derived from his magic power, but the other abilities. Even the Ancient One admired his ability. Therefore, in Strange's heart, Bruce had absolute power. What I want to say is just this. You should think about it. After saying that, Bruce turned around and was ready to leave. Strange was a very smart and arrogant man. If Bruce wanted to completely control this man, he needed to take a long time. But Bruce did not like waiting most. Therefore, instead of just making Strange afraid of him, he could also give him some favor. And then he could control him quickly. And he believed that Strange would completely trust him with the time passing by. That meant that the task would be completed. This was his plan to deal with a mature adult. Just like in the Ant-Man's heart, as long as Bruce kept mysterious and powerful, there would not be any problems. Although for Strange, this way might play the opposite effect, Bruce still felt it was necessary to try. After all, he did not have too much time. The moment when Strange saw Bruce who was ready to leave, he stood up directly, and his eyes were solemn. The present Strange seemed to have determined something and he looked straight at Bruce. Of course, Bruce could feel his eyes and then slowly turned around. He wanted to hear what the future Sorcerer Supreme's decision was. When will the train start tomorrow? At the moment, Strange had yielded and he really began to fear Bruce. Because he could not give up the power that he managed to get. In his eyes, this Bruce was even more terrifying than the Sorcerer Supreme. The early morning. After hearing Strange's words, Bruce smiled and did not say anything more. Even though Strange was proud and self-contained, after all, he was a normal human. After Strange felt Bruce changed his mind, he was finally relieved. The feeling that Bruce gave him before made him upset at himself. It was just like his future fate was completely controlled by Bruce. After that, Bruce did not say anything. He left and returned to his room. During this period, he did not relax himself about the knowledge of magic and the use of his own abilities. His abilities were becoming more and more powerful, so he needed to constantly comprehend and adapt. Fortunately, the process of becoming stronger had always been in his control, so there would not be a problem. Sometimes the most horrible thing was not that someone only had powerful abilities but could not use them. It was that someone could not control his powerful ability. Like the Phoenix girl in the Homo Superior, she had the powerful and terrifying power of Phoenix. This power was so terrifying that even Apocalypse could not defeat her. It could be said that she was able to destroy all the X-Men by her own power. Originally, owning this powerful ability was extremely terrifying. But she was unable to control such powerful abilities and was disturbed by this power and then caused a disaster. That was the real terror. Therefore, it was not too important to own so important power. The most important thing was you could learn to control and use your own power. Tonight, Bruce collated his previous power and then reviewed it again. Don't think that this kind of thing was unnecessary. Sometimes, knowing yourself was more important than knowing your enemy. Time went on like this. Soon after, Bruce slept. But his soul walked out of the bondage of his body and continued to learn what he wanted. It was getting closer and closer that Thanos appeared and he had to start preparing to deal with it. Next day, Strange arrived early in the practice field, and Bruce also came soon. Bruce had already made some studying plans for Strange which were to let Strange read some magic books. If it was someone else, they could not understand them at all. On the other side, Mordo and Ancient One also looked at the scene. Yesterday, Bruce had inspired the potential of Strange. Should we let him rest for a while? Besides, could Strange understand the books Bruce took? And whether what we had done could work out, Caecilius is our lesson. We must be careful. At the moment, Mordo was worried because he knew clearly about how Caecilius went to the present place. The present Strange had the same experience with former Caecilius. Therefore he was a little concerned, because he didn't want to see the same tragedy happening again. After hearing Mordo's words, the Ancient One was very calm. She was not the same as Mordo, she supported Bruce to do so. Because in her eyes, it was the best way to let the next Sorcerer Supreme to take responsibilities quickly. More importantly, Bruce could restrain Strange all the time. Don't worry, it's all right. Sometimes, we have to use some special methods to get a special effect. When Mordo heard Ancient One's words, he frowned slightly. He was a very conservative man and he thought that everything should go as its original track. In his eyes, if the original rule of development was broken, it would be in trouble sooner or later. It was just that the Ancient One was his master, and everything was given to him. Since Ancient One had said this, he had nothing to say. I see. Mordo answered and did not continue to speak. At the moment, Ancient One slightly sighed. It seemed that Mordo's character would not change. And since Strange's formal training started, the whole Kamartaji seemed to be busy. Almost every day they could see Strange's busy figure. At the moment, Strange was like a hard-working scholar, who was struggling to learn new knowledge that he had never contacted. And all of this was under Bruce's arrangements. Chapter 157, Horror. It can be said that Dr. Strange in front of Bruce had an amazing talent in learning magic. He learned very fast, and Bruce could not compare with him at all. After all, Dr. Strange was the protagonist in this plot, so Bruce had no need to envy him. It was also in this period that both Bruce and Strange were getting closer and closer. Because of their many contacts, Bruce's deep understanding of the magic knowledge, some problems that even Mordo couldn't explain, but Bruce knew it. And coupled with Bruce's extraordinary abilities, which made Strange admire him very much. Although Bruce could not place so much magic in his eyes, he could be said to be all-round in other aspects. Before, they had fought with each other, and no matter what, Strange could not hurt Bruce a little at all. Even he could not hurt Bruce's skin. This was the most terrifying thing for Strange. At the same time, he was increasingly convinced that Bruce had the ability to deprive him of all his power. During this period, Ancient One was also teaching Strange some powerful magics. But Bruce did not want to study these magic. Because some magic was really not too important for Bruce. Because he put his research focus on origin magic power now. As the Ancient One said, the origin magic power was indeed one of the most advanced magic in the universe. First, it had already existed when the Big Bang happened, and there were few people who could control this power. Except those ancient races in the universe. But it was very difficult to control the origin magic power. Maybe no one would be able to control it in the whole universe. The power that this magic released was too strong. As long as the manipulation and the use of the magic power were true, it could even crush the vibranium. This was extremely incredible. After Bruce knew this, he was shocked. Originally, he thought that the Scarlet Witch could be regarded as one of the strongest Avengers, but now it seemed that the power of Scarlet Witch would be beyond Thor. Of course, she had to take control of her own strength at first. This point was indisputable. At the moment, Bruce had an idea that if Ancient One controlled Scarlet Witch's abilities, how powerful would she become? It was absolutely amazing. Ancient One was the real Sorcerer Supreme, the real Magic Master. She owned an incredible power. And if she had completely mastered the origin magic power, it would be possible for her to kill Thanos. Of course, Thanos did not have his gloves. But Bruce's idea would not come true. Because the origin magic power was very difficult to control. Scarlet Witch just completed the initial control of the origin magic power with the help of Mind Gem. More importantly, it was not anyone could get such a good opportunity. Because Mind Gem played different roles to different people. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were the best examples. Although both of them had acquired power with the help of the Mind Gem, the effects were very different. And there was only one Scarlet Witch. Even Ancient One accepted the power of the Mind Gem. She would not be able to control the origin magic power. But Bruce was different. He had an infinite download system that could download the abilities of the Scarlet Witch and Ancient One. In the future, if he integrated the natural magic power of the Ancient One and the origin magic power into a magic power, what kind of effect would it produce? Bruce really wanted to know. But Bruce had only mastered the magic ball abilities of the Scarlet Witch, which was only a branch of the origin magic power, and it was not a real origin magic power. If he wanted to integrate them completely, he still had a long way to go. But in the future, the combination would definitely be possible. Unconsciously, there was another idea in Bruce's heart. When Bruce was studying his own origin magic power, on the other side, Ancient One and Strange stood together. When I saw you on the first day, you begged me to teach you the knowledge of magic. Now you want to study by yourself. You know, your ability is far from reaching the level of self-study. At the moment, Ancient One looked at the Strange in front of her and said with a hint of persuasion in her eyes. Strange was indeed very smart, a real genius, and those ordinary magic had little difficulty to him. But the time he had learned magic was too short, which made Ancient One a little worried. I want to know more about magic secrets, and I believe that I can do it myself. At the moment, Strange said that. Now he really liked the magic. At the same time, he felt that he had reached a certain degree. If he had always been taught by others, it would be difficult for him to make progress. His present idea already reflected his pride. I can promise you to self-study, but you must first talk to Bruce. At the moment, the Ancient One said that. She did not want to restrain the future Sorcerer Supreme too much, but she also could not let it go. But after hearing Ancient One's words, Strange's face turned pale. If he could let Bruce agree, how would he come to the Sorcerer Supreme? He really had a deep fear for Bruce. Of course, Ancient One also knew this, so she said that let Strange go to find Bruce. Well, that's it. If Bruce has promised you, I will agree. After saying that, Ancient One ignored the reaction of Strange and left directly, leaving Strange alone. At this moment, Strange's face was a little panicked. Shouldn't he just say that? Would Bruce agree after saying that? Or not? Would he be beaten by him? At the moment, Doctor Strange felt a strong headache about this. But he finally decided to go to Bruce. As long as Bruce promised, there would be no problem. More importantly, he had become strong now. Although his time for learning magic was not long enough, he thought that he could already be able to self-study completely. Thinking of this, Strange did not hesitate and walked directly towards Bruce. Soon, he stood in front of Bruce's door but did not dare to knock on the door. Because he still clearly remembered the Mount Komolangma thing now. Come in. If you have something, you could say it directly. When Strange was still hesitant, Bruce's voice came out from the room. This Doctor Strange's whole body shivered at once. Whereafter, he just entered Bruce's room directly. He had almost finished all study plans given by Bruce before. Therefore, he thought Bruce should be satisfied with him. But in fact, he was still a little uneasy. I heard that you want to study by yourself? Bruce asked directly. After hearing his words, Strange's face turned pale. Chapter 158 Power. Before that, Strange had already planned for how and when to say to Bruce. But at this moment, Bruce directly said such a sentence, making him extremely panicked. More importantly, it was clear that Bruce spoke out the sentence in a cold voice. The moment drops of cold sweat came from Strange's head. At the same time, he looked at Bruce who was in front of him and was biting the bullet, then said, "Mr. Bruce, I want to explain about this." He knew that he could definitely not let Bruce get angry. Otherwise, even Master Ancient One could not keep him alive. But Bruce waved his hand directly when he just opened his mouth. At the moment, Bruce looked at Strange in front of him, and said directly, "I know what you mean. I can agree." Strange had already prepared a lot of words, but when he heard Bruce's words, he didn't know what to say. Did Bruce really agree with him just like this? What was going on? He had not explained yet. And he had not told him about the achievements of these days. Just agree like this? It was really too amazing. Mr. Bruce, is that true? At first, Strange still did not believe it, so he confirmed it again. What, are you doubting what I said? Then Bruce asked, which made Strange shake his head hurriedly. At this moment, Strange was very happy. As long as Bruce agreed, then he could do his own business. And he would not be constrained. Thank you, Mr. Bruce. As he spoke, Strange was ready to leave because he still had a lot of important things to do. But just as he was about to leave, Bruce's voice came directly and he said, "I have not finished speaking." Haven't finished speaking? At the moment, Strange closed his eyes and he knew that Bruce would not say yes so quickly. You can study by yourself, and I won't stop you, but first you must prove that you have the ability to study by yourself. At the moment, Bruce stood up with a trace of smile on his face. But the smile made Strange feel very cold and penetrated into his bones. So what do you mean? At the moment, Strange asked. Because he wanted to know what Bruce would do next, then he could be prepared. He knew that things would definitely not be so simple. Don't be nervous. My condition is very simple, as long as you pass my test, I will agree with your request. Bruce looked at the fearful Strange and laughed. Then he took out the hanging ring in his hand and opened a passageway. On the other side of the passageway, there was a land of ice and snow, and the roaring cold stream was sweeping out. The temperature there was too low for ordinary people to bear. You get ready and then come here to find me. As he spoke, Bruce walked directly into the passageway, and Strange hesitated for a while and then went back to the room to change a set of clothes, before also waking into it. At this moment, in the snow and ice, there was a vast expanse of white all around. The wind was roaring, and the snow in the sky was constantly falling like goose feathers. The temperature here had reached a height of tens of degrees below zero. Next, you could fight against me. If your power is recognized, you can study by yourself. If not, you'd better listen to my training plan. At the moment, Bruce's voice came into Strange's ear, then Strange frowned slightly. Don't you let me defeat you? Strange asked. I'm afraid that you can't do it in your whole life. At the moment, Bruce shook his head as he looked at Strange and said. It was impossible for Strange to defeat Bruce with his current abilities, of course, unless he used the time gem, like he dealt with Dormammu. But Bruce would definitely not give him time to open the time gem. Let's start, Bruce said. As soon as Bruce finished speaking, Strange attacked directly. The powerful magic power gathered in his hands and formed a golden whip. Bang! The golden whip went straight to Bruce, and the powerful force made the surrounding ice and snow directly break up. But Bruce only slightly moved, then the whip could never touch him. It's too slow, Bruce said coldly. The words made Strange's expression change greatly. Then he directly used separation magic at the same time, then his whole body was instantly transformed into 8 figures. Each figure was like an entity which instantly rushed towards Bruce. If Bruce was an ordinary person, he would not be able to figure out the true or false. But Bruce had the spider telepathy, and he also had the superhuman telekinesis. Boom! In an instant, the huge glaciers around them were pulled out from the ground, and then the glaciers transformed into pieces of ice debris under Bruce's powerful superhuman telekinesis. These broken ice pieces floated around Bruce's body, and at this time, Bruce was floating in the air, and looked like the god of ice and snow. Whoosh! Thousands of ice pieces were made into flying darts and shot out like lightning. At the moment, Strange was shocked, and he thought that was incredible. Those ice pieces were as dense as the rain spots, and he could not completely avoid the ice. Maybe it would break his bones. Without any methods, Strange had to wave his hands and directly conjured a shield with the magic power. He wanted to block all the ice cubes in front of him. Bang! But the power of these ice pieces was too strong, especially plus Bruce's terrifying psychokinesis. Strange had been completely exhausted when he just resisted only 1/5 of the ice flying darts. This was the first time that Strange saw Bruce release such a terrifying power. He just relied on the power of psychokinesis to defeat him directly. And at the moment when Strange fell down, Bruce stopped the attack. Then he slowly drifted in front of Strange. His eyes were cold, as if he was looking at a mole ant. Is this the power you own now? I want to ask you that if the enemy you are facing is as powerful as me, how do you deal with him? At this moment, Strange fell on the snow land and gasped for breath. He looked at Bruce, who was in a high place, and was shocked in his heart. The gap between them was really so big that there was almost no way to make up for it. Therefore, facing such an enemy, it meant that he could not do anything except being desperate. But you are here, and that's enough. At the moment, Strange said. He felt the smallness of his ability in the heart for the first time. But Bruce had a smile on his face just after hearing what he said. But if the enemy was me? As soon as he heard the words, Strange was shaking violently, and even his soul could not help shaking. Facing such an enemy like Bruce, he did not have any chance to win. Because until now, he didn't know what Bruce's weakness was. How could he battle with Bruce? Once again, Strange felt desperate. He had never thought that he would face such a powerful enemy like Bruce. At the moment, Bruce just looked at Strange like this. He knew that this was the perfect time for him to act. Chapter 159, Will. In the previous battle between Bruce and Strange, Bruce had already thought of this. Strange was very proud. Especially at the time of learning magic, Strange showed an incomparable talent and there was no one who could compare with him. At the same time, it was because of this, Strange's original dispirited mind became proud again. Otherwise, he would not ask self-study thing Ancient One to study. Bruce was very clear about this point. Of course, he would not mind that. After all, Strange was really a genius, and it was normal for him to have such a proud psychology. But he could not let it go freely, otherwise it would be difficult to control. He had his own way, and that was that he would destroy Strange's confidence now. And the greatest effect of doing so was to deeply imprint his invincible figure in Stranger's heart. Then it would be very simple to take control of this Doctor Strange in the future. At this moment, Strange's face was full of confusion. He had learned magic for such a long time, but it seemed that he still could not have any way to this man. This Bruce was too strong, and perhaps even the Sorcerer Supreme was not as good as him. He also heard the news about Bruce from Mordo, but he only knew that Bruce had something to do with the Avengers, but actually he was not an Avenger. He was so mysterious and powerful that he could not catch up with him anyway. If my future enemy is really you, will I have the hope of winning in the future? At the moment, Strange was a little desperate. Faced with such an enemy like Bruce, he did not completely have a chance to win. He was a very clever person who knew what people he could provoke or he could not. And in his eyes, Bruce was a person that he could not defeat. So you're going to give up like that? As far as I know, you're not such a person. At the moment, Bruce said that. He knew that his invincible image had been deeply imprinted in Strange's heart. This made him very satisfied. What should I do? I don't understand. It was very clear that I could not win. Did I still fight? At the moment, Strange said this. He was a proud man. No matter what difficulties they were, he would be able to defeat them as long as he was there. But now it seemed that he had no chance. Right now, Bruce looked at the decadent Strange and then laughed in his heart. It seemed that his influence on this Doctor Strange was so big that he had no confidence to face himself at all. Indeed, no matter it was the later Avengers or the present Doctor Strange. If they really became Bruce's enemies, they would not win. The present Bruce had not arrived at the level of true God yet, but he knew those Avengers well. More importantly, he had prepared his plans for so long. What he needed to do was to prevent Avengers from going against him in the future. This was what Bruce had to prevent at nearly all costs. But it did not mean that he would surely become an Avenger's enemy. Unless they really offended him, and it was unforgivable. Ancient One valued your talent very much. The reason why she teaches you so wholeheartedly is that she wants you to become a real Sorcerer Supreme in the future. Do you know that you may be the hope and the leader of the magic world? At the moment, what Bruce had said made Strange totally shocked. The next Sorcerer Supreme? Is it himself? Then, he remembered those masters' attitudes to him. Although some people were cold to him, he still could feel that he was respected by them. It was just that he did not know why before. But now it seemed that everything was clear. No matter what he did before, the masters would not stop him. For example, he kept stealing magic books from the library and thought no one had found that. But in fact, how couldn't those experienced masters discover his behaviors? It was just because he could be the next Sorcerer Supreme, so they didn't stop him. Are you serious? At the moment, Strange's face was shocked and questioned. What Bruce had said did not actually make him feel any excited or proud. And he felt that it was a responsibility. To be the next Sorcerer Supreme means responsibility, the responsibility of protecting the whole world. Previously, he thought that he was only one of the many disciples of Ancient One, but he did not expect that she would value him so much. Yes, you may be the next Sorcerer Supreme. Although I am not too sure, Ancient One's expectations on you have exceeded anyone. She did not blame you that you wanted to study by yourself, but to ask you to come to me. It is just because she wants you to know that your power is not strong enough. It can be said that she was the person who cared for you the most. But you seem to disappoint her. At the moment, Bruce did not mention himself. After all, Strange's most knowledge was taught by Professor Ancient One, and therefore, Ancient One was Doctor Strange's true teacher, while he was just a counselor. After hearing Bruce's words, Strange was confused. Has he disappointed the Ancient One? How? At the moment, Bruce of course knew what he was thinking. Then he looked at Strange in front of him and said again. You see what you can't defeat, so you shrink. That is very normal. But you need to know that the reason why the real world is so safe in these years is just because of the Guardian of the Sorcerer Supreme. No matter how powerful the opponent is and no matter whether she is ready, she will always be willing to fight against the enemy at any time. What about you? At the moment, Bruce's words were like a soul-like interrogation. After hearing Bruce's words, Strange was shocked completely. Originally, he thought he was a doctor, not a soldier. But now it seemed that he had already been a soldier from the moment he practiced magic. Therefore, he had to strive continuously. But now, he always thought how he could run away from this responsibility. Because he thought these were not what he had to bear. However, he was wrong. So wrong. Then what should I do? At the moment, strange sighs began to be firm, as he looked at Bruce in front of him and asked again. It was the previous fear, but it was fearless. And it was a real soldier's eyes. At this moment Bruce smiled. This marks the end of part 23 of the story Marvel Unlimited Skills, I Can Download. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.